So I'm going to start the test with the remote control here, and I expect sequence switch number 30 to step through several positions, and then one of them it should stop in position 8, but it looks like it's not. Okay, there's 3, 4, and then it goes right past 8 to 9. And then, now that it hasn't actually gone to position 8, it's going to fail. Okay. And this is completely wrong. And now I just have no choice but to disconnect it and let it go. So this all started because I was cleaning the cork roller, and then having done so, having cleaned and then put some violin rosin on it to get it behaving, I ran it through a couple of tests and found out that it completely was not working electrically either. And I don't think cleaning the roller with rosin had anything to do with it, because I didn't touch any electrical parts. I think this has been going on for a while, and I just didn't catch it. So let's run it through again, and again I'm stepping this through. So each time it revolves, I'm pressing a key to make it continue on. So there's the first step. Here comes the second. And again, it went right past position 8, and now it's in position 9. And it's going to fail out again. Yep, it's completely just not doing the thing. And okay, it returns to normal, but it still didn't make selections. So what we're looking at here is an incoming selector and its associated sequence switch. There's one sequence switch for each selector, and that's the thing that's rotating. The sequence switch, for those of you who are into programming and stuff, is basically a state machine. As the incoming selector, or as any selector does its thing, the sequence switch will revolve through a number of states, which alters the circuit in such a way that it'll do a specific part of its job. For those of you who are not familiar with state machines, you can kind of Google it to get an idea of what a state machine is. Or you can also think of it kind of like the camshaft in a car. In an engine, or in an automobile engine, there's a camshaft that has these lobes on it, and as the engine goes through its cycle, the camshaft rotates and opens and closes the intake and exhaust valves at the right time. It's exactly what's happening here, only it's not opening and closing valves to let in air. It's opening and closing different parts of the circuit, and it revolves once per phone call. So that's what that is, and the thing I'm seeing is that it should be stopping in position 8. And position 8 is called Selections Beyond. And what Selections Beyond means is I'm done doing my part. I now need to wait for the next frame to do its part before I continue. So in essence, not stopping at position 8 just means it's skipping right over the part where it's supposed to wait and moving on to the part where it's like, I'm ready to connect the call. But no, you're not, because the rest of the selections haven't even taken place, so you can't connect anything. And then the final frame gets confused because it's ready to make selections, but the incoming frame has already gone way past that point without stopping. So I think what we got to do is look at the diagram and figure out what will actually move it out of position 8. What's occurring here that's making it skip this whole series of steps. So let's take a look at the diagram, and I'll also talk about the remote control and the test cart down here a little bit. So this is the test cart I'm using. This is on wheels. It's called a T-wagon because it looks a lot like the type of wagon that you'd get tea brought by your house servant in. And you can roll it around the office and set up specific test conditions on the selectors. And it's just really great for that. So I have this set up for a specific test, and I've demonstrated that this test worked on all the other selectors except number 30. So now I have the diagram for the incoming frame, and we're going to follow this through and try to figure it out together. Now, I haven't figured this out yet. I don't have the answer. So we're kind of going to do this in real time, and you might see me get confused or wonder what the heck's going on. That's because, again, this is in real time. So let's take a look at this diagram together. Okay, so what I'm going to look for is, I know that in order to advance past position 8, it has to connect ground to the R magnet, which is what rotates the sequence switch. So we will actually just follow this through. Let me straighten the camera out a little bit. So here's battery, here's the R magnet. This is what actually makes the sequence switch go. So we'll follow this up, and this is grounded in none of these positions. So in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, blah, 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 there's no ground there. So it can't be that. So let's go over here, and we'll go up to the B cam, and we'll see if it's grounded in position 9 anywhere. So 12 through 16, nope. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 through 11, 13 and 15, so that's a possibility. This is grounded in positions 3 through 18, that's another possibility. And this is grounded in, oh yeah, right, I'm looking at position 8, not 9, so I don't care about 9, I care about 8. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 15, we don't actually care about this. 3 through 18, we do care about that because that's inclusive of position 8. And then 2, 4, 6, and 8, 14, and then 16 through 17. So it could be either of these that are causing the problem. So it's possible there's ground here in position 9, or ground here in position 8. I keep saying 9, I actually mean 8. I don't know why I got it in my head that we care about position 9. It's 8. Let's just go over here real quick and see. 12, 15 through 16, 5 through 6, and 9 3/4 through 10, and 13. Don't care. And then this hollow arrow means that it's always grounded in all positions, or always connected in all positions, not necessarily grounded. So let's follow that over here. It's connected in 9 through 10 and 13 through 14. That's not what I care about. And when the position or contact 3 and 5 on the pickup relay, so the pickup relay is not operated, 3 and 5 on the pickup relay. If the pickup relay is not operated, it goes up here, and it's 1 through 6, 13, 15 through 16, so that's not something I care about. If the pickup relay is operated, this will be closed, and it'll go through this contact up to this cam, which the hollow arrow means it's always connected. So 16, don't care. 5 through 12, 13 through 14, and then 5.5 through 7 and 12. So if the pickup relay is operated, this will be connected, and it go up to cam K to ground here on positions 5 through 12. So I wonder if the pickup relay is operating as it's going through position 9. It shouldn't be, so let's just test that, because if that's the case, there's our problem. There's ground, and it's connected to this cam K, in positions 5 through 12 and 13 3/4 through 14, so that would include 9. So ground in, or sorry, 8. That would include 8. So ground there, through the operated contacts of the pickup relay. And those are both break contacts. That's fine. And the make contact is right there. Yeah, I don't think that's the problem. Let's look elsewhere on this drawing. What else happens in position 8? I keep saying 9, but I actually mean 8. I'm just not good with numbers. Don't care. 3 through 18, that includes 8, and then this includes 8, so that Y cam or the X cam, or sorry, yeah, the Y commutator segment or the X commutator segment. I bet this goes to ground, but we should never be hitting the Y commutator segment because the brush isn't actually that high, so I don't think this is the case. Here's the commutator. This is the X segment, this is the Y segment all the way up here. So in order for that to matter, the brush would have to be at its highest position, and it's only over here somewhere, so this couldn't be the problem, because the brush never gets here. And I don't think it could be the X commutator that's the problem, because in order for the X commutator to be relevant, the brush has to be way at the bottom. And it's actually somewhere in this position. And this is the, these are other segments. Let's see. So we have X and Y, but also on this X, it branches off just before it and goes up here to ground on the L relay when the L relay is not operated. It's the back contact of the L relay. Boop, ground. So is the L relay operating in position 8? Because that could, through the back contact, through here, down here, across here, and then to battery. Let's find out. Kind of suspicious. Hang on, I need to put the camera down for a sec. Okay, we're in position 7 now, and we're waiting for the L relay. So it should operate and then quickly de-op. We went right past 8. Try that one more time. Ouch! Many volts. Okay, so if I hold the L relay operated up here, it stays in 8. But now the L relay, I presume, will release. Let's find out. I'm going to let go of it. Yep. The L relay releases, and when it releases, it connects ground to the sequence switch, which advances it past 8 to 9. So, the question now is, why is the L relay releasing after position 7 and going into position 8. So here's the L relay. The core is this rectangle right here, and it's got 2 windings, a primary and a secondary. So it looks like battery goes to both windings. Here it goes to primary, and here it goes to secondary. Let's see where those windings go. Alright, so what can operate this L relay? So we'll follow battery through the primary winding, and it comes out here, and it can go to here. It branches out 1 through 8 and 11 through 11 and a quarter and 13 through 14, so that's a possibility. 12, no. 17, no. But this hollow arrow means that it's always connected. So where does this go? This goes down to the 1 and 2 contact of it, the L relay itself. But that only matters if the L relay is operated. That's a make contact. So, The problem is not that the L relay is operating, it's that it's releasing. So if I follow that through 1 to 2, up through here, 7 through 8 and 17, could go here to the ring. That could be a thing. Okay, so I solved one problem and created another. Now the L relay is it's staying operated, it's not releasing, which is good, which is what we want. We want it to stay operated to keep the sequence switch in position 8. And that works. But now the L relay is never releasing when it's time to leave position 8. So we've solved one problem and created another. So now we have to again look at the operate path of this L relay and figure out what it needs to do in position 8 in order to release. So how does it get to position 9? That's where we want it to go next. So again, we'll go through the primary winding, go here, 1 through 8. Where were we? Okay, yeah. Primary 1 through 8. Empty, empty, empty. Don't care. How about up through here? 9 through 17. Nothing really happens here. 6, 13, blah. What about over here? 7 through 10. 2, 4, and 6. 11, and then 15 through 17. So 7 through 10 could be a thing. 1, 4, 9, and 10. You know what? I want to check the CD real quick. Let's take a look at that. Let's go to my computer machine. Okay, so I've got 2 copies of this CD. Let's take a look at what happens to move it out of position 8. In position 7, the L relay operates through its primary winding, advancing to position 8, where the L relay holds over the ring side of the trunk to ground in the final selector circuit. Okay. The tip of the fundamental is closed through cam F, through the final, to the sender, and ground through the contact of L is connected to ring, thus completing the fundamental. Cool. After selections beyond has been completed, this is the part we care about right here. After selections beyond has been completed, the final selector circuit functions and removes ground from the ring, causing L relay to release, thereby advancing the switch to position 9. So it looks like it's the job of the final circuit to release ground from the ring and then cause the L relay to release and move it to position 9. Now, my question is, how is this behaving differently with the incomings that are working versus this one? Because as far as I know, I'm requesting the same final selector. So if it's the final's job to release ground from ring, then what's happening with this incoming where that's not a thing? Let me just check the other CD I have real quick and see if it's the same in the newer revision. Okay, let's read this one. So we wanted 10 incoming advance. After selections beyond has been completed, the final functions and removes ground from the ring, causing the release of the L relay, which advances the switch to 9. Okay, so same thing as before. Let's look at the chart. ES 210443. Yes, I totally have a scan of this drawing. Okay, so ground on the ring, always there, 7 and 8 through 17. So we're in position 8, so this matters. Let's go down here. Could be, nope, that wouldn't be it, because that's 5 through 7 1/4. And 9 through 11 1/4, so that doesn't include 8. How about you? You include 8. 5 through 17. Yeah, but you have nowhere to go in position 8. So you're a dead end. Oh no, wait, you don't even matter because you're going to sleeve, so I don't even care. Okay, let's go down here. Go over here to this junction. L relay is operated, so we'll go into 1. Always on the H cam. Oh, here we are. So it's holding ground from the ring through the make contact of the L relay through H, 1 through 8 and 11 through 11 1/4 and 13 through 14, right here to the primary winding to battery. I wonder if I pull apart or I split up contacts 1 and 3 or put some insulation between them, if that L relay will release. Because that could mean there's some kind of short. Or I don't know. Let's release this bad boy right here and see what happens in position 8. See if it releases. Then we can identify whether or not that's the holding path. Okay, where's my thingies? contacts 1 and 2 are this and this. Something wrong there. Well, let's try this in the other selector and just make sure it works. We'll go to position 28. Okay, that worked. Which final was it? Final 48. So we know final 48's doing what it should do. Let's go back to 30. Still final 48. And oh, I can't see it all the way up there. What position are you in? Looks like 14 maybe? Yeah, you're in 14. And 14 is talking. Great, so you think you're talking. So that means you must have released ground from the ring. So why do you still have ground on the ring? Why, huh? Very weird. So I gotta do a little bit more testing and get back to you, because now I have proven that it should be working, but it's not. And that's all I know at this point, is that it should be working, but it's not. So now I'm stuck. So I need to pore over this drawing until it makes sense to me. I'll be back. Okay, so I made a little bit of progress using this tool, which is, and this particular one's made from an old phonograph record. You can see the grooves even. And what this does is it goes around the center, kind of the spindle of the sequence switch, and it can be used to open up the connection between the spring and the cam. So if I suspect that there's something happening where it shouldn't be, I can test that by sticking this in there and opening it up. So what I did is I went through the drawing and I found out that the only place that, or one of the only places that ground could be coming in is on either the H cam or the G cam. And sure enough, I followed it through, and once I separated the spring from the cam, the whole thing proceeded onward. So I'll show you what that looks like. By starting the test. Okay, now it's stuck at position 9. And I know it's hard to see back there, but the G-cam is this one. And I know which spring it is. So I'll stick this back there, and I'll just force that open. There we go. Moved right past position 9. Now it's having some other trouble, because that shouldn't be happening. But I suspect that's just an effect of the same thing we're already seeing. So let's stop the test. That goes back to normal. And now we have to look at what's coming in from the G-cam. Problem I see is here's the G-cam, and here is the terminal I just opened with that tool. Now, if I follow this out, guess what? It goes right to the ring lead. So there's really nothing in between the ring lead coming in from the final frame and this cam. So that kind of means logically that it has to be the final frame doing something wrong, or there's a short internally in this part right here. Now, I don't think the final frame's doing anything wrong, because if I use the same final selector and a different incoming, it works fine. Which, you know, it feels like, oh, well, if that's working fine, then it can't be the final, because all other things are the same. The only thing that's different is this incoming. So what I'm going to do is follow the wire and check for a short. Now that's going to be a bit challenging because we don't have the T-drawing for this frame. The T-drawing is the one that shows you physically where the wires go. This is just a schematic. It shows you, you know, how the circuit functions, but it doesn't show you where the wires go. But I've done this enough that I should be able to sort of intuitively figure out what's in between here and here. So I'm going to go try that, poke around a little bit, and maybe I can find a short somewhere. So that whole thing was actually a complete red herring, because I realized that when I went to clean the commutator earlier, about half an hour ago now, I forgot to put back in the protective cleaning brush. So there was grounded metal making contact with the commutator segment up at the top of the selector rod. So that whole thing was just a wild goose chase, and I'm still back to the original problem that I had when we started the video. So now we get to take, you know, 10 steps back and go, oh, we're back here again. So I have to go back to the drawing, same as we did before, and kind of start over. Let's do that. So by trial and error, I figured it out. It turns out the actual problem was pretty simple. The brush, particularly the ring side of the brush, wasn't making good contact with the terminals behind it, so the ground that was supposed to be coming back from the ring was never getting to the relays in the trunk. So what I'm going to do is run a few tests using the test cart, and I'll point the camera at it while I do it so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to see if it will work repeatedly under multiple different conditions, and if it does, I'm happy with that. By the way, this is the tool you use to bend little brush springs back into alignment. This tool has a tiny little groove so it can grab the metal spring and you can bend it. And this does the same thing, only this groove here I don't know if you can see that groove there. That grabs the outside and you can bend it in or out, and that's all I did. So let's point the camera at the test cart and we will run it through pace is and I'll explain what I'm doing. Okay, so I'll reset it, and what I'm going to do is set it up to call 5111, which is at the start of the final bank, so I'll check that. And I can set a resistance value, which to start, 1200 ohms is usually pretty good. So that's 500, 500, and 200. And it's testing incoming selectors. You could test other types, but this is an incoming selector. And we will go. And that worked. Let's call a telephone. So I'll dial 5234, same compensating resistance value. Okay, it rings. That's great. Let's call the flashing busy line 5118, and that should flash a lamp up here. We have the flashing lamp, so that worked. Let's do one more time. Alright, let's start pushing it. Let's add another 200 ohms of resistance, so now we're at 1400 ohms. Ugh. Didn't like that. Go back to 1200. Alright, that worked. Let's do 1300. That didn't work because there's no flashing light, meaning the final selector didn't get to the right terminal. It's too much resistance. Let's have some fun and try it just 700 ohms, which is not a lot at all. That worked. 600. Okay. 500 I think shouldn't work. That's not enough resistance to even let the relays operate and release like they should. And look, it worked. So I think that there's, even though I bent the spring back in, I think there's still too much resistance in this circuit. It's marginal. So it's sort of within tolerance, but there's still too much resistance overall. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of sandpaper and just sand down the ring side of that brush to see if there's maybe some tarnish or corrosion on it that I can remove. And then we'll try this again. Let's see if that helped any. Let's start over and we'll do 1400 ohms, which remember failed before. No, it did not. So it looks like I'm going to need more sanding. I'm definitely going to need to do a little bit more cleanup here because 200 ohms it should definitely not work at that low resistance, which means that there's still so much resistance in the circuit somewhere, probably in the brush, that it's actually adding up to a greater value. It should almost certainly work at 14, 1.4K, and it should even maybe work at 15, 1.5K, but I suspect that this will, 1.5K will just fall flat in its face. Odd, that worked. So you're telling me it works at 1.5 but not 1.4? Cool, now it does work at 1.4. The thing to remember here is that the panel switch is kind of not an exact science. Sometimes, actually a lot of times, you just kind of need to work through it, or work through it with the switch, and it will eventually figure itself out. That's why I kind of sometimes say it's magic, because it sort of is. Sometimes things just stop working and then start working again once the whatever bad ghosts have infested it decide to leave. Just called my house with the test cart. So now the phone is ringing in my bedroom. Actually. So that was a little bit of troubleshooting on the panel switch. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, it was kind of fun to do it on camera with you guys, because I really got to do it in real time, and you kind of maybe hopefully got to see me be a little bit confused, because it happens. And if you like this video and you want more stuff in this vein, maybe even with the other switches, go ahead and comment and let me know. I am here to serve. Anyway, I'll see you later. Bye.